Hey now, Petey Grizz here. Today we're gonna meet my newest pal. As you know, if you've been watching my recent videos, I've been really digging the Remington Scout knives lately. So I decided to pick up a descendant from the Remington line. This is a PAL Scout knife. Now, PAL Blade Company, I believe, purchased Remington, at least their knife division, in 1935, I believe. And they used the same equipment. They probably the same cutlers. You know, they basically took over the manufacturer under their name. So let's see how they compare. So we've got nice jig bone scales. I like the color of this scale, at least. We'll see the back one in a second. But it's got like a nice mix of like dark and light areas. Seated nice and clean against the liners. Nickel silver liners. Nickel silver shield is pretty. This thing's definitely been heavy. Somebody was harsh on this with some steel wool or something. I kind of wish it was more original, but it's in nice shape. This is a nice carry knife. On the back side, we've got this. This looks to me like this sat up like this on just somebody's dresser or something for many years and got a bunch of light, or they just mismatched from the factory, which is just as possible. But yeah, sometimes when you see one side is drastically lighter than the other, it's because of UV light. But the bolsters all line up really nice. Everything is nice and flush and square on this knife. It's really a nice example. I think is interesting is that a lot of times when you see these kind of pass-through bales, where they actually go through the knife rather than just affixed to the head of the rivets, usually they go through a hollow pin, but here they actually drove a normal pin and then drilled out separately for the thing. They even drilled through the pin itself. I think that's interesting. I'm sure this just makes everything probably, I don't know. They had to drill right on the pivot, though. That's what it confuses me, what they did here. Or I'm assuming the ends only go in as far as the inside of the liners, so you might be able to pop this off pretty easily. I'm not sure. Maybe Tobias or somebody like that knows the answer, because I'm not going to break this one in finding out. So first up, we've got the can opener. This lovely two-piece Remington style. I think this is such a neat can opener. I know it's such a dorky thing to obsess over, but I really like I'm fascinated by the variety of can opener designs. And this one is so over-engineered to have to spot weld two pieces of sheet metal together when you could just stamp this shape out. But they seemed to think this was stronger. I see a lot of them intact. I don't see many of these broken as much as I do the other style. This sickle style, but all formed out of one piece of metal. So maybe they were right. I don't know. We've got the long. The shape's a little different than some of the Remington ones I got. I'll show you in a minute. But it's got the nice long flathead screwdriver. Comes to a little more delicate point than some of them I've seen, but still nonetheless very nice with the cap lifter. Great action, great snap. The pull on this knife is a solid 7. That's right. It's right in the sweet spot of where I like to feel the pull, but I don't want to fight with the knife, frankly. I've already got arthritis in all my joints. I don't need to struggle to open a knife. Y'all see me struggle to open plenty of knives. So we've got this stamp, PAL Blade Company, made in USA. They don't stamp the model on the back like Remington did. So this blade's pretty heavily been sharpened away, but it's in great shape. Like I said, I suspect this knife had a nice coat of rust on it, and somebody really heavily restored it. Yeah, we'll call it that. It's a nice job, though. I think they did a good job, actually, for a carry knife. I would rather see this in its original condition and then decide myself, but somebody already decided, so here we are. The reamer. This has had a little bit of work. Something's been going on here. They either reshaped it or bent it or something, but still a nice reamer. This I would call a reamer. Like, say, it doesn't have the, let's compare it to an earlier Remington punch. And see, that's what I'm talking about there. Doesn't have the as much heft to it. It's like they made it skinnier so that they didn't have to worry about clearance as much as my suspicion. But still, the tool closes excellently, great action. This is just a great knife in great shape. Let's check out this older Remington Scout knife with the pyramid scales, and I'll show you this, the shape of this cap lifter versus this cap lifter. It almost reminds me of the difference between the early Victorinox combo tool and the later combo tools, except in reverse. The earlier one has a more subtle shape to it, and this one has this hard angle where it just goes bent. We're going this way now. Whereas this one has a kind of a smooth gradient going to it. This one's been cut off a little bit, but you can still tell it probably had another, quarter inch maybe on it, and it would have still been much wider than this tip up here. Let's look at, do I have another one? Yeah, I got another one right here. Here's a later Remington. I would suspect this is like towards the end of Remington. See, it's got the same style of, yeah, I didn't notice that before. I always think these go through a hollow pin, but no, they just drilled it. So yeah, that pin just goes into the scales. It doesn't go all the way through like the hollow pin ones. But we can see here how thick the older tip is. And again, it's got, this one's kind of in between the two shapes, really. It doesn't have as harsh an angle as this one, but definitely more of a noticeable angle than the early one. And the can opener, we can compare this with this can opener and see that if anything, it's a little bigger, but it doesn't have the this one doesn't have it either. This one has the Remington mark on it. Maybe see this one, maybe this one will be bigger. So we've got that guy there is roughly the same size, and this is an earlier one, from the late 1920s, I would suspect, with the Remington and the patent mark. And then you've got this one this is also a 3-blade versus a 4-blade. Maybe they used the Junior Scout size on it. Let's compare the Junior Scout size. I think this is even smaller than that one. Yeah, they're very, I don't know. I think they had 3 different sizes of can openers. That's kind of fascinating. I mean, these two are the same size frames. This is a smaller frame, so that makes sense to have a smaller can opener. But why they shrunk this? Probably just to save materials, frankly. That's pretty neat. I just noticed that right now. So that's pretty cool, man. I really like these Remington Scout knives. But yes, I'll be getting back to Swiss Army knives. I've got my eyes on a couple of cool ones. We'll see what happens, but I'm planning on bringing a couple cool Swiss knives in before the holidays, at least. So since we're already there, pretty much. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peter Grizz out.